One of the ironies of criticizing women online has been that, in spite of how much I've done it, I hardly ever actually see women respond to me. This makes sense, of course, because I've always believed that they couldn't care less about one man not wanting to have anything to do with them, so it's unlikely they would ever stumble across my content out of a genuine desire to hear me out, but you would think they would be the ones who would be my biggest detractors. Instead, almost every time someone has had an issue with what I've had to say about women, it's a man. There was a content creator who coined the term inheriting beef. And that is what these men do. They have no reason, nothing to gain from trying to stand up for women they don't even know, but they do it anyway by inheriting the beef that you would think women would have with me. Now, I want to clarify disagreeing with another man is not inherently self hating. But the problem with these boys is that they don't actually disagree. They look for ways to talk about something without addressing my points. For example, on the train wreck of trying to be friends with a woman video, my argument is that it has become too convoluted a process to try just being friends with a woman, as evidenced by the difficulty of trying to have a friendship with both Miss Revolving Door and my coworker, the Mixed Signals Queen. Out of the several guys that came to that video who didn't agree with me, none of them articulated why I should not be upset that someone would stop talking to me because they can't tell their dumb boyfriend we're not having an affair while living hundreds of miles away from each other, and thus rendering all the time we spent together a waste. None of them articulated why I should not be upset that a person who agreed to see a movie with me stood me up at the last minute, ignored me for 2 weeks even though she was the one who messed it up, and kept promising to let me know if she was available just to not deliver on this empty pledge. So these disagreements are not actually disagreements, but for a time I thought maybe this is just a sore spot for them, that they can be more sympathetic or understanding of other men when it comes to matters unrelated to women. When I did the triangle scam, there was a section where I talked about how during a stream I did during the 3 weeks where I was homeless, a user came on there and started saying that while he agreed with my situation being messed up, he also thought I should consider what the person who did it meant by what they said. And I thought his comment was so stupid because it's like, you're telling a person who is cared so little about by their relative that the latter is not concerned with whether I'm alive or dead, that I should sit back and care about what they meant when they threw their temper tantrum. Now, someone will say that my lack of tolerance for these perspectives shows that I have a problem with people disagreeing with me, but I genuinely believe that there are some things that people should be united in viewing as wrong. Is it that hard to admit that when a person pays the amount of money they are asked to pay every month, that it's wrong for that person to suddenly be charged 5 times what they were already paying? Is it that hard to admit that it's wrong for someone to call themselves your friend and then proceed to ignore you for months even though you haven't done anything to them? Is it that hard to admit that it's wrong for someone to stand you up at the last minute, get mad at you for being mad at them, lead you on for weeks that they still want to hang out with you, and then try to get you in trouble with your job after you confront them over their lies? And how much of an intellectual failure does the modern man have to be to lack the ability to unequivocally condemn certain acts and behaviors? And it would be easy for me to write off all these guys as trolls. Being online for as long as I have, I know what a nasty or mean comment looks like, and it isn't normally a paragraph or even longer. People who actually don't like my content will simply stop watching. They are not going to subscribe and then try to argue with me every single time I upload a video. There's an investment of time and energy on the part of some of these guys that makes me think it's not an act. But these guys generally follow the same playbook. Some man that I've never seen before comes and writes a comment, typically on a relationship video, where they vaguely address the situation without directly acknowledging what I take issue with, and of course, they kick you when you're down. One of the most infuriating clowns to ever comment on my channel was a guy named Barry. He subbed to me and was so obnoxious that I got rid of him after under 2 weeks because every comment he wrote followed this antagonizing and yet self-contradicting lack of self-awareness trend that I had and still have very little patience for. I'm not going to show every dumb thing he wrote, but here's an excerpt. And when it comes to the women who didn't really hit you back, maybe she was indecisive, maybe your demeanor turned her off. Maybe it was something you said. Small things can really show a person's true colors. Stop blaming all of these outside factors and look more inward. If the same processes are giving you same result, then switch it up. Try something new. Take responsibility for your shortcomings and improve upon them. I'm not saying any of these to be a downer or beat you up, man. I've been in the same exact boat. I thought no one could love me for me, and I was wrong. You have to become the best you that you can be. You have to be able to stand back and objectively look at yourself and ask, would I want to date me? I love how he admits it can be an external factor, like her being indecisive, which I think many women are. But then he slams the door on the woman ever being accountable for anything, like wasting your time, like leading you on, and says, stop blaming all of these outside factors and look more inward. Try something new. He writes that as if he has some extensive knowledge of everything I've done up to this point. I started out mostly just talking to girls I went to school with, and gradually I expanded to talking to some online, and there have been plenty of instances where some woman I like will just abruptly stop responding, which makes all of our interactions retroactively pointless. This is just an example of how I did try something new, but also, and I made this point years ago, why do you have to become the best you that you can be just to get a date? Now, this next comment was left on my Everything Started Crumbling Leaving Nothing video. There's a couple of themes here. You see the inability to respond to my points, the confirmation that the person did watch the video enough to where they can mention certain things but not really address what my grievances are, and the constant attempts to paint me as some kind of ineffective, lazy, awful person. Molecule Splitter writes, to bring about my demise, bro, who do you think you are? You think life is only hard on you? Your relative's worthless, okay, maybe to you, but you're a full-functioning adult. Blank, get your expletive together. Nobody owes you gas money. Expletive, get it yourself. You're a man. You want better interactions with women? Get out there and expletive win. Find your own fulfillment instead of looking for it in friends, family, and girls. You sound expletive. Also, bro, don't mess with girls at work. Always bad. That girl was narcissist, but to be fair, you sound like one too. I'm saying all of this with love. It was all a good lesson. Keep learning from your losses. You pretty smart. Good video, by the way. Where do we even begin? So this is another example where they quote me, but they don't explain what's wrong with what I actually said. You think life is only hard on you? Well, I've never said that and actually done multiple videos showing statistics of people struggling financially. But by that logic, anytime someone complains about an aspect of their life that they are dissatisfied with, we can just reply, you think life is only hard on you? Most of my relatives being worthless is my opinion, but it's not really a counter to say, okay, maybe to you, as though anyone who understands what opinions are cannot comprehend that. But you're a full-functioning adult, blank, get your expletive together. So I guess no full-functioning adults ever receive help from others. And notice how he completely leaves out the part of me working and keeping a job for almost half a year, as I had to pay the largest amount of monthly expenses I've ever had to pay. This is important because he's pretending that I don't take initiative and am waiting hand and foot for someone else to do things for me when that's not the case. Nobody owes you gas money. Expletive, get it yourself. You're a man. You know, imagine if I was a parent and I was someone that was known to have had support from my own parents as late as into my 30s and 40s. The kind of support where I could move back in with them whenever I wanted without paying anything. I could expect them if they made food to make enough for me to get some as well, etc. And as I'm someone who has benefited from their support into my middle-aged years, I completely turn my back on the individual that I call myself the guardian of and use the excuse of them being an adult as a rationale to not assist them with basic utilities that they need to survive. The very same thing that I was aided with by my own guardians/parents. And this is why this comment is so disgusting, because besides the fact that he's simping for hypocritical liars, he's also pretending that just because someone becomes an adult, they never require or need help with anything ever. He is also pretending, or chose to ignore the fact, that for the last 5 months, I have worked every single time I've been allowed to, which further disputes this idea that I just expect something to be handed to me but rather goes along with my point that you can still do what you're supposed to do and sometimes still need help. You want better interactions with women? Get out there and expletive win. So again, this is more pretending that I haven't taken initiative when it comes to trying to have what he calls better interactions with women. And he uses a nebulous term to dodge addressing the specifics of what I'm actually saying, which is that talking to women is awful no matter if you meet one in real life or on the internet, no matter if you want to date one or just be friends with one. He even caps it off by pretending that I'm weird for trying to find fulfillment through relationships, when the latter is key to many of our lives, and not having certain relationships, be they with friends, family, or women, can often lead to depression. You sound P-word. Also, bro, don't mess with girls at work. Always bad. That girl was narcissist, but to be fair, you sound like one too. Imagine hiding your face as you accuse someone else of sounding cowardly. And women have exercised poor behavior outside of the ones I work with. It actually makes a lot of sense that a man who doesn't really go out or believe in approaching random women would feel more comfortable asking one that he has several months of interactions with if she wants to hang out. You know, to have someone try to claim that I am the same as the person who stood me up, treated me like I didn't exist, and then murdered me with a report so stupid that the investigator completely dropped it. Molecule Splitter is one of the dumbest people that has ever commented on this channel. You take this big word, narcissist, and you stick it in your pathetic paragraph to try sounding intelligent, but there's such a lack of logic that you look brainless regardless. Also, Molecule Splitter's insanity is not limited to just this one comment. He went on a stupidity speed run, and I'm not going to dissect the others as much as this one, but he commented on the triangle scam with some insult about the video having I-word vibes, and then on another video, he said that modern women are just pricey, less agreeable. Yeah. And my thing is, there is clearly a very strong sentiment of disenfranchisement among men when it comes to the topic of trying to court the modern woman. So why do these guys, who based on their own comments seem to have the same position or similar views, try to act as if they're better than someone else? The one thing all of these men across the years of obsession with me have in common is the inability to show one shred of proof that they have accomplished anything they have either directly said or alluded to having. Not one of these men has shown they are with a woman, and that's very important because according to them, not only is getting a date not impossible, but it's easy. So why can't one of these supposedly drowning in women, pimp playboy studs show us that they have succeeded where so many others have failed? Because they're lying. Whether you like me or not, I am honest. I've never come online and tried to pretend that I'm more than what I am. It's one thing to brag about something you don't have on the internet, but it's another to use those same fantasies to try and make someone else feel bad about their realities. Remember, Barry wrote, "I've been in the same exact boat. I thought no one could love me for me, and I was wrong." Okay, where's this girlfriend that you allege to have? When you look at Molecule Splitter, I'm really supposed to believe this guy is having these better interactions with women and is winning at anything? Like, imagine yourself being successful in whatever field you desire. This could be in regard to relationships, wealth, some semblance of status, etc. Do you really believe that you in your supposed successful state would have nothing better to do than seeking out random men to try arguing with about things that have nothing to do with you? Last year, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention released data that showed 2022 had the highest number of suicides in United States history, with over 49,000 people taking their own lives. And out of those 49,000, 39,000 were men. Now, there are many reasons why tens of thousands of men take their lives every year, and among these reasons is the lack of support, the feeling that we are alone, or that there is no way out of whatever undesirable situation we're in. Because we're supposed to understand each other better than a woman could, men should be the main ones trying to give some level of support amongst ourselves, which could range from just listening to another man to calling someone once or twice a week to see if they are all right. We talked about how it's a fact that most young men in the United States are not with a woman, which I'm sure contributes to the feeling of loneliness, especially if you're someone who has tried to be with one of them but was deemed not good enough or whatever other unwanted result came your way. Many times when I've been depressed or dissatisfied with my current situation, the one thing that kept me going was the hope that it would get better. Really, the only thing I've ever felt was all for nothing was trying to have relationships with women because they are a bottomless pit of disappointment. What I'm getting at is that while these boys may not be the direct cause for a man wanting to end his life, they certainly do not provide any incentive for one of us on the brink to not quit altogether. This is an era of lies, con artists, and deceit. When Miss Revolving Door called me a friend before proceeding to treat me very poorly, it was a lie. When my coworker would smile at me and ask me things and called me a friend, it was a lie. When Ron wrote, "I wish you luck," it was a lie. When Molecule Splitter calls me bro and writes, "I'm saying all of this with love," it is a smokescreen for his animosity. These men are extensions of the very same women they defend. Never an honest claim, it's only the men they blame. And unlike how these men appear out of nowhere when you criticize a woman, you won't see hordes of women coming to defend these guys because they couldn't care less. Yes, when it comes to women, these guys try to drag you back into that mess, but they're just self hating men with fake success.